This is the metagame stats for Co-op Tournament number 1, round number 3. Both teams have not only survived round number 2, but they've actually gotten all the bonus objectives, so all the teams are now starting off with 9 points each. Team number 1 will be up against 4 Mutators. They are up against Aggressive Deployment, Alien Incubation, Black Death, and Walking Infested. So what's going to be happening here is there's going to be a lot of unit losses due to the Black Death Mutator. They've chosen to do this on Vermillion Problem, and they will be playing with Tychus and Zagara. Team number 2 will be up against also 4 Mutators. They're up against Darkness, Propagators, Speed Freaks, and Twister. So the obvious challenge here is the Propagators, Speed Freaks, Darkness Mutator combination. So they'll have to rely on minimap awareness and quick reflexes to make sure they do not lose their armies to the Propagators. They've chosen to do this on Vermillion Problem with Swan and Vorazun. So let's get into a game. This is the Co-op Tournament number 1, round number 3. Team number 1. We have playing Zagara, Ancalagon, and playing Tychus, we have Ziemson. So, let's have a look at what these guys are going to be up against. We have Black Death, Alien Incubation, Aggressive Deployment, and Walking Infested. So, Aggressive Deployment drops, we'll have Black Death, and all those units will spawn Broodlings, and they will spawn Infested units as well. And the Broodlings and the Infested units will also have a potential of having the Plague Mutator, which is Black Death. So very nasty set of Mutators over here, and very interesting picks for the commanders. Personally, this would not have been my go-to choice, but yeah, you can see there's a discussion over there on like how nasty this set is going to be. So they're well aware, and apparently it looks like they have actually practiced this set because they were expecting to be up against this. But yeah, let's have a look at the mastery choices. We have the Zagara Energy Regen, the Baneling Damage, and the Intensified Frenzy, and then Mevac Cooldown, Try Outlaw, and Tychus Attack Speed. Pretty much standard picks over here. But yeah, it looks like these players have practiced. The one thing I was actually somewhat impressed about is especially this team, they spent a lot of time like fidgeting around with certain mutator combinations, trying to figure out, you know, what is the worst thing that we can do with a certain number of points to our opponent, and you know, what's the most difficult thing that they can throw at us, and you know, and they actually spent time practicing, which was I was somewhat impressed. It was the amount of effort that has been taken here. It makes me happy. It's good to see the people who are genuinely interested in performing well on this tournament. So yeah, we have Tychus with Zagara out, and Zagara will be able to counter the damage that Black Death deals a little bit, but unfortunately these two have all been affected already. But you know, just having the extra heals from Zagara is just going to help a little bit, keeping oh my god, already! I think I already got infected, and I haven't even started like pushing into the expansion. But yeah, Zagara has put down an expansion right now, or a macro hatchery in the front line, and yeah, Zagara is actually not going to be too bad. The one problem that's probably going to be facing Zagara is because she reinforces her army from her structures. There is a chance that aggressive deployment will drop onto these primary structures, and eventually, when the units die, they will aggro these drones and infect the drones as well. So I think that's probably one of the problems that Zagara will be having in this mutation. I guess a little bit of trying to pull back. I think Zagara, where did Zagara go? I don't know.
Our forces have met the enemy.
I do not know where Zagara went. I think she died. I think she died, but it doesn't show up. Oh, that's cool. So apparently, if you die from the Black Death, it doesn't actually show up as a unit lost. Ah, that's unfortunate. I was not aware of that. Anyway, first set of aggressive deployment drops do come down, and they do end up getting cleaned up very quickly. The enemy composition is Swarmy Zerg, which I don't think could be any worse for these commanders. Zagara has a lot of problems dealing with Swarmy Zerg composition because it just hard counters the army because of the splash damage that these things do. And Zagara now is trying to stay alive, but apparently there's nothing for her to heal, so she's just gonna be walking around. The other thing that has also happened is Zagara has been nerfed. Before, if you got the Procyon Twin Heal Beam, which allows her to heal 2 units at the same time, if she was healing another unit, she could also heal herself. That has been nerfed and has been removed now, which means Zagara's only heal is from her natural HP regen and her healing burst, which she has right now. So that is also somewhat unfortunate for Zagara. And she's trying to heal Tychus as well. Tychus is just allowing by a little bit of extra DPS. And now there's a drop attack here for Zagara. Zagara uses her Hunter Killers to provide a little bit of damage output here. And Zagara now has been affected by the Black Death Mutator, as is pretty much everything else is over here. So these guys are all going to end up going down very quickly. And yeah, so far I think 6 crystals. No, it's been 4 crystals, right? Hasn't been picked up on this mission.
Our forces are under attack.
And there we go. So again, there's an attack wave. An aggressive deployment drop has been spawned over here, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Is it can be very, very annoying. There's another aggressive deployment drop on this side. It ends up picking off Tychus's engineering bay, and now there's an SCV here that will also be picked up. Zagara is now in position to try and help her ally deal with it. The next set of 4 crystals have spawned. And yeah, Zagara is still trying to get a foothold in the mission. There's still a lot of harass on this side. Zagara may end up losing out that expansion if Tychus does not get there in time, or Zagara's army. And a bunch of Zerglings do come out to try and just draw aggro away from this. He does end up keeping that expansion alive, only just. But these Zerglings are going to end up going down. Still 2 more Infested and a few more Broodlings. And Amon just completely BMing Zagara right now by mining from her base over there. And again, there are a bunch of aberrations here. Zagara is going to get picked off. Zagara explodes in tiny little bits. And now there are a bunch of units over here that have spawned and are focusing down on Zagara and Tychus. Blaze is now out. Blaze is a good choice for this mutation because there's a lot of walking Infested, a lot of Broodlings that are spawned you just provide that chain fire damage, which can just end up wiping out a lot of these units, especially when you're up against a Zerg composition. Blaze tends to work a little bit better. 2 minutes and 34 seconds left on the timer. These commanders will have to hurry and try and pick up these crystals, because these crystals are freebies. But again, there are a lot of infested units that are coming up towards this base here. Zagara will have to try and deal with this, but unfortunately her drones get shredded. And now an aggressive deployment drop has dropped on that army and has instantly one-shot a lot of her army, reinforcement army over here. Ends up clearing out this side. Tychus does use a medevac to try and save this base, but unfortunately this base has been completely ravaged and the Zerglings are not interested with dealing with this side. Now Zagara's army is trying to rally back, but again, there's another aggressive deployment drop on this side. Zagara has been infected here. There are 2 more crystals left, which these commanders have not picked up yet. Spinecrawl is here to try and just keep these armies at bay, and now I think they have managed to gain a little bit of a foothold on this side. So there's nothing over here on this crystal, so Zagara will send something else to try and pick up that one, because that one again is pretty much a freebie. There are 2 lings on this side, but again, Zagara sends a small portion of her army to try and deal with this, and that has been cleared out. After a lot of struggles here, now the lava has started to spawn, and the commanders are probably going to end up losing out on this crystal. Unless we get there in time. I don't know. I don't think that drone is going to be able to make it. Nope, that drone gets instantly roasted, which is very unfortunate. There's 1 crystal over here that needs to be picked up and deposited into the environmental stabilizer. So so far we have 2, 4, and this is 6 crystals deposited right now. So we still have a little bit more. And now the next aggressive deployment drop has dropped. And this is the one thing I was talking about now. You see this, how this drone has been infected? All these drones now have been infected by the Black Death Mutators. So that one I don't think has been noticed. These ones have been pulled off because they know they're going to end up dying. And that one has not, Zagara has not noticed that that one is also infected. So that will cause a problem. Unless Zagara pulls that away, is starting to lose HP. It loses HP depending on the amount of its base HP. So its HP loss rate is a little bit lower than someone like Blaze, for example, who loses out very, very quickly per tick. But Tychus is going to start pushing into this side. Luckily for the commanders, the crystals have now all spawned on here, so that is going to help out a little bit. And Zagara is doing a lot of work healing, and now that drone is going to end up dying out. And it is going to be a problem, because when it dies, it's going to infect it. It's actually moved through the mineral pathing, like all the way in the middle drones here. So yeah, there we go. A lot of these drones now have been infected by this Black Death mutator, but Tychus is slowly starting to push in, and he has managed to keep a few of his outlaws alive here. Zagara again, like unfortunately, the Black Death mutator does not count as a unit lost, so you can't really see the total amount of damage that's been dealt. There are a few pulls over here. Zagara still has not noticed that these drones have been infected, but again, it's going to be a while before these drones go down, and these commands are just trying to hold and maintain their drop, and just trying to maintain that timer, because there is 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the timer. There is another attack wave now, and an aggressive deployment drop does end up falling onto this area. There's a very, very large attack wave now, and there's going to be a drop attack as well from the Overlords here. There is a disabling cloud that comes down onto these Zerglings, but these Zerglings were not attacking in the first place, and now the commanders will have to try and help with this. There is a medevac pickup here from Tychus to get his army to position. Blaze doing a lot of work here for the amount of damage he's dealt, but there's another medevac pickup here to just try and get the army into position. Pull on the SCVs to keep them away from the Black Death. Unfortunately, some of these SCVs are still infected, and yeah, Tychus does end up losing a lot of his mineral line to that drop attack. And now there's another drop attack on this side as well. But again, Blaze is in position, being able to deal a lot of damage. Blaze has a total of, if I can click him, sometimes I cannot click him. Yes, a total of 212 kills. So there we go. So there's another drop attack now on this, and there's another aggressive deployment drop that has landed on Zagara's army, which is again very problematic for her. Zagara is kind of struggling to make sure that she doesn't end up losing her entire army to this Black Death mutator. But one of the things that makes this mutator so difficult is because you have the alien incubation and the walking infested mutation active. Zagara's army's effectiveness drops significantly because her armies are suicide units. They're made up of suicide units, so that does end up slowing her down significantly. Zagara is trying to macro up and getting that expansion. So far, that expansion has been okay on this side. Again, there's another small drop attack on this side, a smaller drop attack here. There's a bunch of swarm hose are harassing Zagara a little bit, but should be relatively okay. As long as she's able to handle that side. There's a little bit of a frenzy here again. Zagara knows that there's a swarm hose, but that swarm hose gets picked off by the hunter killers that Zagara had spawned. And now there are 3 more crystals that are working on the way, but Zagara does get picked off by a bunch of units. And now these units are going to go towards Stuka's base. Unfortunately for Tychus, not Stuka. Fortunately for Tychus, these things do not have the Black Death mutator, so that is good for the most part, I think. Yeah, none of these guys have actually, none of these guys are actually infected with the Black Death mutator, so that should be okay. So 1 crystal has been picked up here for Zagara. They just try and get these crystals as much as possible. You can see how hectic it can be, and unfortunately Zagara has lost a lot of the overlords to this, and her mineral line here has been completely ravaged by the Black Death. I mean, does not have enough resources to even make an overlord, let alone a drone. Zagara does not really want to end up losing these drones now. One thing you can do is, if you are playing Zagara and you are up against the aggressive deployment drops, is when you're building your macro hatcheries, put your macro hatcheries forward a little bit, say on this side, and only use the expansion hatcheries to build drones. And these hatcheries to build your army units. So what can actually happen is, if the aggressive deployment drop falls on top, if it gets spawned on your army units, it's going to be away from this, from your economy, and keep your army safe. So that's something you can do. So Zagara's over here being able to hold the side. Tychus goes in to help as well, and just deal with these units here. There are a lot of spammy units on this side, and so far Zagara and Tychus are doing okay. Zagara has gotten the heal over here. And are there... Okay, there's 1 Ling here that is starting to attack Zagara's drones. This Ling does not have any... does not have the Plague Mutator, so that should be okay. And now there is an attack wave that is making its way here, but Tychus is now in position. And you can see how the chain fire from Blaze's from Blaze just helps a lot. He's taking a lot of damage though. And, but yeah, he's still trying to... There's a roach drop that comes up onto this army, just to provide a little bit of meat shield for Tychus. Now there's a Viper on this side. There are a ton of Overseers over here. I'm not sure why these Overseers are just on this location. There's probably something burrowed, I think, when these Overseers spawned. But yeah, there we go. There are 3 more crystals here. I think these commanders should be able to get it. Since these are all clumped up, they should not be too much of a problem. There's 1 Scourge over here. Might be some defender. Okay, there are no defenders on the side, which is actually really good for this command. Those are 3 free crystals right now. So, yeah, they're doing reasonably well here. Tychus sends a bunch of SCVs to go ahead and pick up these crystals. This one is, whatever has been sent here, Tychus will have to try and rush onto this pickup. There was an aggressive deployment drop on Tychus' army, but he used the medevac pickup to save that. And move around and help Zagara defend this side, but this aggressive deployment drop has decided to path its way through, and again, as you can see, the amount of damage output is a lot. And again, there's a random broodling that is focusing down on Zagara's drones here, but Zagara is still trying to get herself okay. And there is another broodling over here, and now this broodling is starting to kill off these drones, and these drones again are getting infected with the Black Death mutator, and all these drones now are pretty much written off. They are all infected. All have to go and be thrown away. Have a few more crystals on this side. I think these drones may be able to make it. Maybe this one might not, but I think the other two might be able to make it through before they end up dying to the Black Death mutator. So this is going to be a little bit rough. Yeah, so these drones are going to get sent. Now we have 3 crystals on this side, 1 on this side. These ones are probably going to get lost on the next lava surge, so it's very important for these guys to actually pick up these crystals, because these ones are easier to get because they're all clumped up. So, you know, when you have splash damage like banelings and other units, Zagara gets a lot more value for just having that kind of splash, especially combined with Blaze and his oil spill abilities. You can see over here, like, you know, lots of units spawn, but it's very easy to clean them up. And now there's another aggressive deployment drop that has fallen onto this army. Second aggressive deployment drop over here. Zagara uses her roach drop to counter that aggressive deployment. And again, Blaze is just there to be able to just tank for the front line. And yeah, these 2 crystals will should be able to be picked up reasonably easily. But now there's an attack wave again onto Zagara's army, and that actually stands no chance of surviving against a large amount of damage output over here. Drones are pathing their way back, but these drones are pretty much written off, and probably you don't want to have these drones sent to the hatchery over there, because they will start dealing a lot of damage. And now there's another attack wave on this side, and this attack wave is going to be taking out this macro hatchery as soon as the rest of the units are done. Macro hatchery goes down for Zagara, and there is a drone that's backing on the side. Again, lots of units here for Tychus, but Zagara is in big trouble over here, and there was a small pause here, which is why there was a lot of text messages there. Odin gets dropped. Nuke gets put down here, instantly one-shots a large number of these units. Now there are just a bunch of broodlings left here, but Blaze is able to clean that up over here. And yeah, there we go. But the attack waves are not done yet. There are a bunch of swarm hosts and aberrations. And Blaze and Nikara are not going to be enough to deal with the amount of damage output here. Medevac pick up here to try and save these units, just to try and keep them alive a little bit longer, to try and soak up a little bit of damage, because remember, Zagara does not have any more structures left. If she loses these structures, this is it. This is the end of the game. Zagara has respawned now and has been able to clean up this side with relative ease, but now the next aggressive deployment drop has dropped. There are 2 aggressive deployment drops, and the Odin is gone now, and Banelings have focus fire down the hatchery. Hatchery ends up going down. We have 4 more structures left, and there we go. There is a spawning pool and a Baneling's nest. Unfortunately, Zagara has been completely wiped from this, and there is nothing left. That spawning pool is the last structure left. Both the planners have been wiped out. Unfortunately, mission has been failed with these 2 commanders, and that is GG.